Please let me read today's verses reverently. Genesis chapter 1, 14 to 19. Then God said, "There will be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give lights on the earth." And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater lights to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He made the stars also. God placed them in the expanse of the heavens to give lights on the earth, and to govern the day and the night, and separate light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. There was evening, and there was a morning, a fourth day. An anthem by Shalom Choir and the Nisi Orchestra is next. Dear brothers and sisters in the Lord, all saints from the branch churches and the local sanctuaries, teachers and viewers, and all children of God who attended the worship online. This is the 38th lecture on Genesis. I will continue to explain the first day of the creation from the last lecture. God created the sun and the moon and the stars on the fourth day. God created our galaxy, to which the Earth and the solar system belong. Stars other than our galaxy already exist in the original universe, and the Earth was also created before the 6 days of the creation. When God created the sun, moon, and the stars, the Earth was a reference point for their size and position. It's a fact that Earth revolves around the sun, but it was not the sun, but the Earth that was created first. God created the sun, moon, and the stars in the right places and the sizes on the Earth. By the way, our galaxy is 100,000 light years in diameter. It takes lights 100,000 years to travel from one end to the other. You can imagine how vast this is, an unimaginable expanse. In other words, the travel from this end of our galaxy to the another end, it takes 100,000 years at the speed of light. Our solar system is located at the distance of 30,000 light years from the center of this galaxy. Our solar system is located 30,000 light years outside of the center of the galaxy. So you will get a sense of where our solar system is in the galaxy. From our solar system, the left end of the galaxy is at 20,000 light years away, and the right end is 80,000 light years away. The Milky Way that you see in the night sky is a part of our galaxy. If you join the summer retreat, you can see the Milky Way. The Milky Way appears elongated because we on Earth are looking towards the center of our galaxy, which is a disc-shaped.
바로 우리가 원반형인 우리 은하의 중심부를 향해 보고 있기 때문에 기다랗게 보이는 것이라 이 말입니다. 하나님께서는 우리 은하의 그 모든 별들을 넷째 날에 창조.
God created all these stars of our galaxy on the first day. Now, could these newly created stars be sent from the Earth right away? Or not?
바로 볼 수 있었을까요? 없었을까요?
Yes or no?
빛의 속도를
Those who understand the speed of light may think these stars could not have been sent right away. the speed of a light is 300,000 kilometers per second.
은하 끝까지만 해도 빛의 속도는 초속 30만 킬로미터.
Which means it can circle the Earth 7.5 times in a second.
얼마나 빨라요?
In one tick, light travels 7.5 times around the Earth. That means that even at this speed, light has to travel 100,000 light years from one end of our galaxy to the other. It takes about 8 minutes and 19 seconds for the actual sunlight that you receive every day to reach the Earth. The light is coming from the sun now. It took 8 minutes and 19 seconds for it to reach our Earth. Therefore, the sun that we see from the Earth is actually the sunlight emitted 8 minutes, 19 seconds ago, not right now. Conclusion that the stars created the first days on the Earth were not immediately visible. On the first day after the stars were created, only the moon and a few planets in the solar system could be seen reflecting the sunlight at night. In astronomical terms, a celestial body that shines by itself is called a star, and it's said that the nearest star from the Earth except the Sun is 4.20 light years away. 4.20 light years. The distance a star travels in 4 years and then another 4 years. Therefore, even if all the stars were created on the first day, it would have taken at least 4 years to be able to spot a self-luminous stars in the night sky. Now, the one end of our galaxy is 80,000 light years away from the Earth, and the other end is 20,000 years away. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a galaxy, and the Earth is 30,000 light years from the center. Then there's about 20,000 light years left on this side, right? Then, if you add half from the Earth to this side, you get the distance of the 80,000 light years. Therefore, to be able to see the whole Milky Way as you can now, it should have taken 80,000 years from the first day of the creation. It will take 80,000 years to see the entire Milky Way. It will take a very long time to count from 1 to 80,000. Within the limits of the scientific knowledge of the world, you cannot but think in this way. This is the limit of the scientific knowledge. By the way, the creationist scientists who believe in the creation by God misunderstood the Bible and insist on young Earth theory, that is, the Earth is only 6,000 years old. They began counting the years of the Earth's age with a 6-day creation. In addition, they believe that all the stars in the first heaven were created on the fourth day. They believe that not only the stars in our galaxy, but also all stars in the entire universe were created on the first day. The young Earth theory itself has, however, become the source of the arguments among the creationist scientists. We've refreshing the answer that can relieve the frustration of the existing creation scientists and the doubts of the worldly scientists. First of all, I said that stars outside our galaxy exist before the beginning of time, from the very beginning of the universe. The age of before the beginning are such a long, long years that go beyond your imagination. So the fact that the farthest star observed from the Earth is 13.1 billion light years away is also entirely explainable. The age of the Earth is not 6,000 years. The Earth was already created even before the 6 days of the creation, and even after the 6 days of the creation, much more than 6,000 years have passed. Let me say it again. The earth was created before the creation. It was much before, and more than 6,000 years have passed since the creation.
훨씬 넘는 시간이 흘렀다 이 말입니다.
The age of the 6,000 years is the age from the moment when Adam and Eve were driven out to the earth from the Garden of Eden. Originally, God created the Adam and Eve from the dirt on the earth, created the Garden of Eden, and let them there. Then they ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil and disobeyed and came back to the earth where they were created. They came down. They were driven out. So this is the time after they were driven out of the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were created the earth, but they lived in the Garden of Eden in the second heavens for a long time. We don't know how long it was, but it was surely a very long time. And during such a long years, the earth kept on getting older. When I first received the revelation in 1980s, God explained to me that great deal of a time had passed that you humans could not fathom. The time that Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden was an uncountable number of the years. People who misunderstand this scripture thinks that they lived in Eden and ate in the fruit after a while, so the people think that there were only Adam and Eve in Eden. But God told Adam to rule, subdue, and multiply, and Adam ruled over Eden and multiplied for many, many, many years. Genesis clearly states that Eve would have more pain in conception than she had in Eden. Because they are living beings, they suffered less. You too have a good faith, and when you give birth to a child, you give birth with much less pain, right? Our saints, women, so like this, women in Eden suffer less when giving birth. But Adam and Eve were cursed and burned on this earth, and now when they conceive and they give birth, women on earth suffer. And over that long period of time, the earth has continued to age, turning over and doing all sorts of the things. If the earth were 6,000 years old and the stars were created the first day, we would see far fewer stars in the sky. We should only be able to see stars within 6,000 light years of the earth, right? Also, the older people were the fewer stars they would have seen in the night sky. However, people who lived 2,000, 4,000, or 5,000 years ago could see the Milky Way in the blue sky just like us. There have been always as many stars visible in the night skies as there are now. On the day Adam and Eve were driven out to the earth, the night skies was full of stars as it's now. But in fact, the first day of creation, on that very night, many stars were visible just as they are now. Therefore, the earth is much older than 6,000 years. However, it doesn't mean that it took countless years for the light of many stars to reach the earth. In fact, the stars of our galaxy, which were created in the first day, could seen from the earth on that very day. How could it be possible? Because God's creation work took place in the spiritual space, surrounded by the fundamental light. In spiritual world, the speed of light is much faster than in fleshly one.
자, 그래서 지구에서 8만 광년 떨어져 있는 별도 창조된 순간에 바로
So even though the star is 80,000 light years away from the Earth, its light was able to reach Earth at the very moment it was created. There's another important fact.
원래 있었던
The light from the other stars that originally existed outside of our galaxy only reached the Earth on the first day after our galaxy was created.
동을 역사해 버리시죠.
That was also possible through the movement of the spiritual space. You can understand this because you saw the movement of the stars at the summer retreat and learned about the space movement.
자, 이를 달리 표현하면 지구에서는 넷째 날에야 별을 볼 수 있게
In other words,
된다는
on Earth, the stars begin to be visible only on the from the first day. Let me tell you example to help you understand it better. There are many different kinds of lights that travel from the sun to the earth. They are visible ray, ultraviolet ray, and infrared ray.
특수한 장치를 이용해야만
The light which can be seen by the man's bare eyes is called the visible ray.
지구에서
Man can see this visible ray, but man cannot see ultraviolet rays and infrared rays. These lights could be seen only through the special devices.
가장 먼저 태양으로부터 오는 빛을 다음으로
The light from the sun was seen first, and then the light from the stars of our galaxy, and lastly, the light from the stars outside of our galaxy.
이를 지구의
What if I describe it from the Earth's point of view?
있다고 한다면
Say the Earth has eyes, and that these eyes were closed until the third day,
없었습니다.
and thus it couldn't see anything. And the eyes were finally opened on the first day. The eyes becomes brighter, and it could see things much further away.
사랑하는 성도 여러분,
Dear brothers and sisters, when God created the sun, moon, and the stars on the first day, the universe in the first heaven begins to operate in its own according to established laws. According to the law of the first heaven, new stars have been created, and some stars have disappeared at the end of their lifespan. Rotating or revolving, all the celestial bodies begins operating according to the given rules.
있는 이러한 법칙들은
When I say these rules of the universe were established, I explained to you that when God said, "Let there be light" on the first day of the creation, all the orders and the natural law of the fleshly world were established. The sun and the moon and the stars, which were created the first day, started to operate according to the rules. As the sun and the moon and the stars were operating according to the given rules, many signs appeared on the earth, and the season and the days and the years were made up. First of all, what were signs? There were two kinds. First, and the atmospheric phenomenon. When the sun was created and the sunlight reached the earth, the sea water turned into the vapor and rose into the sky to form clouds. It's known that the heat of the sun evaporates billions of water per second on the entire earth. After the sun was created, the temperature difference developed between the area of the earth exposed to sunlight and those not exposed to sunlight. Also, even the sunlight shines the same. The amount of the solar heat reaching the different regions, such as polar regions and equatorial regions, differs. Then, as the temperature change on the surface, the atmospheric pressure also became different according to the reason, and it made the winds to blow. It's because the heated air rise and the cooler air descends, due to the work of the clouds and the winds to carry them. It rained or snowed in different places of the earth. Then rivers and the lakes were formed on the land, and the plants were provided with the necessary water. This atmospheric phenomena that begins taking place to the sunlight were the first signs. And the second sign refers to the phenomena which take place to the geological movement. As the sun and moon and the stars were created, crustal movements took place on the earth. Until the second day of the creation, waters were covering the entire flat surface of the earth. On the third day, the North Polar area was dark, and the waters gathered there to form a sea, and the South Pole area became the dry land. On the first day of the creation, however, as the sun and moon and the stars were created, crustal movement started to take place. The dry land, which was originally one, was split and divided. Earthquakes and the volcanic eruptions took place, and as a result, uplifts and sinks happened on the surface of the land. Uplifts are a geological process most often caused by the plate tectonics, which increase elevation. The opposite of the uplifts in the substitutes, which result in the decrease in elevation. Now, why did this phenomena begin taking place as the sun, the moon, and the stars were created? To help you understand it, let me take one example. Suppose a father is holding his child. At this time, the child is not on the ground, but because he is held in his father's arms, he is not tired or uncomfortable at all. Before the sun and moon and the stars were created, earth was being held in the power of God, just like a child held by his father. However, after the sun, moon, and the stars were created, the earth maintained its position thanks to the gravitation between the sun and moon and the stars. This is a bit awkward to describe, but think of a child once again who was held by his father. If the arms and the legs of this child are tied and pulled from the four directions, this child will be suspended in the air. At this point, the child will be floating in the air, but it will be uncomfortable and very tiring. Moreover, imagine that you spin this child in the air. He would feel much difficulty and dizziness, wouldn't he? He's in a completely different situation from when he was held in arms of his father. You may find the rides in an amusement park thrilling. Some rides spin 3 different ways. Just as a top spins on its own and moves around at the same time, the basket with a person in it spins like a top and makes a large circle. And this base where these teapots are fixed along the spins. You may take this ride for a few moments, but what if you take it for days? Now, the Earth has been doing this work of the spinning for a long period of time. The Earth rotates on its axis and it revolves, circling around the sun. Also, all the celestial bodies of our galaxy, including the Earth, and the sun are circling around the center of the galaxy. Therefore, the Earth is actually making a 3-way spin. How? Earth rotates itself and goes around the sun. In addition, the speed of the spins is too fast to imagine.
먼저 지구의
First of all, the speed of the Earth's rotation is the speed of the Earth completing the full rotation once a day.
지구의 자전 속도가 쉽게 말해 하루 동안 지구를 한 바퀴
Near the equator area, the speed is 1,570 kilometers per hour.
킬로미터이고요. 적도는 더군다나 여러분이 시속
If you are riding in a car which is driving at 200 kilometers per hour, you may feel it's so fast. But the Earth is spinning much, much faster. This Earth is revolving around the Sun at the speed of the 188,000 kilometers per hour. Also, the speed at which the solar system orbits the center of the galaxy is about 900,000 kilometers per hour. The moon rotates and orbits the Earth, and the sun also rotates. I explained that last that the moon rotates. How do we know that? The shape of the shadow cast on the moon is always in the same place. So, the shape of the shadow cast on the moon is always in the same place. So when I was young, I wasn't sure if the moon rotated, but it's true that moon rotates. But why we don't sense even if the speed of the Earth is rotating, the revolving is so fast like this? Compared to the size of the Earth, man is too small. It may be a reason, but there's another important reason. For example, the airplane's flight speed is very fast, but if it flies at the constant speed, the passengers do not feel that speed. However, when the flight's altitude or speed changes, the passengers will feel the change. God created the Earth to circle around the Sun in the same orbit as it rotates at the constant speed. Would you still say that the Earth was created by itself even you listen to it so far?
어떻게 이런 게 하나하나 다 우연의 일치입니까? 이런 원리를 안다고 하면 이런 모든 거 하나하나가 어떻게 저절로 된단 말이에요?
So, it's impossible that Earth just exists itself by Big Bang. Even though it's rotating and revolving, the speed is so fast, it always maintains a constant speed. And its rotating orbits and the revolving orbits doesn't change. If the speed changes or goes out of the orbit even a little bit, you will feel the aftermath right away. Including we human beings, the things in the earth may bounce off out into space. God the Father knew all this, and thus He planned the things in great detail and created with a great precision. In such a space, the earth began receiving comprehensive action of the tremendous force from the first day. As it resulted, various geological actions took place on the earth. Earthquakes and a volcanic eruption took place, and the dry land was divided into many pieces and started to move. This kind of a geological movement began to take place from the first day of the creation. But our God knew how the earth, under the influence of these complex forces, would change over time. As a human cultivation nearer its end, and the end of the world drew near, He knew what signs would appear on the earth. And so He let us know through the prophets, and our Jesus also talked about it. In Luke chapter 21:22, for example, the Lord said, "And there will be great earthquakes, and in various places plagues and famines, and there will be terror and the great signs from heaven. He said there would be a great earthquake, that there would be famines due to natural disasters, such as a drought, flood, and the windstorms. Just as written in the Bible, there are many signs of the end of time in the world these days. Scientists utilize the computers to predict the changes in the Earth's environment. Many of them insist that the global warming of the Earth should greatly affect the future Earth environment. Global warming is the process by which the average temperature of the Earth's surface increased. Since the late 19th century, the annual average temperature of the Earth has increased by the 0.6 degrees in Celsius. Let me say again, by 0.6 degrees in Celsius increased from the late 19th century. Scientists expect that global warming will process much faster and will be result in many environmental changes. The temperature of the Earth cannot help but rise. The population is growing, the heat is increasing, and how much heat is generated by the development? Gave scientific data such as how much the sea level will rise, how stronger and the intensity of the natural disasters like windstorms or drought will become. With this data, they predict the future. As knowledge develops and the man becomes wise, they can predict the near future even a little. Then what is that? God doesn't know who created all things. God the Creator knew how the earth would transform as it's gradually affected in the space. He also knew how people would destroy the natural order by recklessly destroying the nature in their selfish desires. All of these things work together to create the signs that will appear at the end of the world, and He has already recorded them in the Bible. So the Bible says already recorded the signs of what will happen when the Lord comes in the last days. These signs are appearing more actively and in greater numbers today. As the human beings see such signs, God wanted them to realize that judgment is very close. Considering all these things, God set the beginning and the end time of the human cultivation, and He has been accomplishing it without the slightest error. Dear brothers and sisters, after the sun, moon, and the stars were created, season, days, and the years were created in the earth. The expression "to have a seasons" means that the season started to appear.
먼저 사시가 생겼다는 말은 계절이 생겼다는 뜻입니다. 봄, 여름, 가을, 겨울.
I mean, spring, summer, autumn, winter. The reason the earth has a season that is the earth is tilted by the 23.5 degrees while revolving around the sun. Even in the polar regions and the lower altitudes, there are seasons. The length of the summer or winter is either longer or shorter than spring or fall in any places of the earth, so there are seasons. There is a winter in Africa, and in Africa, winter starts around June. Now, days and the years refers to the days and the years of the earth. As the earth begins rotating and revolving from the first day, the concept of the day and the year came to existence. The time that it takes for the earth to rotate once is a day, and that it takes to revolve around the sun once is a year. In addition, time that it takes for the moon to circle around the earth once it becomes a month. It takes about 29.53 days for the moon to revolve the earth. That's why there are 29 and the 30 days by turns in lunar calendars. The moon is revolving almost at the same speed of its rotating speed. The Earth can see always the same side of the moon. Now you got it. The moon rotates, but it's hard for us to recognize it. Why? The moon rotates at the speed that is almost the same as the orbit's speed. What is always visible is what is bound to be visible. Do you understand? That's why the Earth always sees the same side of the moon. The sun also rotates on a cycle of 27 days. Through the long years of the observations, people discovered the cycle of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they made calendars based on them. The calendar which is widely used today was finally made in the 1582. So, even though people have been counting years since ancient times, the actual numbers of the years may be different because the calendar and the standard used today were different. Even though you say it is 2024, it may not be exactly 2024 years yet. However, God the Father is precisely counting the years of the human cultivation. Just as He began the human cultivation at the best time, He will finish it at the best time. Dear brothers and sisters, I told you that even though the Adam and the Eve lived in the Garden of Eden for a long time, you don't know how long it was. It means it was a very, very long time. However, this implies another fact. Days and years came to exist on the earth because the lights were created. However, Garden of Eden doesn't have the concept of the days and the years since they don't have nights, but days. The period of time when Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden was such a long years in a concept of a time of the years. However, it's senseless to count the years in the Garden of Eden. Since this is a world where they live forever, there's no reason to count time. If you ask the people in the Garden of Eden, how old are you? What would they say that? Huh? There's no concept of years. Once you are born there, you just live forever. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I explained the creation works of the first day in 3 lectures. Once the first day creation works was finished, the Bible again says that God saw it was good. God the Father was pleased to see the environment for the human cultivation was being beautifully created. When God created the sun, moon, and the stars, He imbued each of them with His power and gave them special meaning. Among them, I talked about the spiritual meaning contained in the moon and the stars last time. Just as there are shining star and the moon in the pitch of the darkness, I told you to remember that God is with you, even when you confront of the hopeless and the depressing moment. Now, what is the spiritual meaning that is containing in the sun then? The sun is the source of all energy that is necessary for every living thing on the earth. Also, days and years could be made up of a sun, and this becomes the standards of the life for human beings. Now, everything were created for human beings, including light, sun, moon, and all environment within nature. Only on the earth, not other planets. So only for earth. So solar system and our galaxy was needed. Now, Psalm chapter 84:11. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord gives grace and the glory. No good things does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Spiritually speaking, it is God the Creator who plays the role of the sun for human beings. Just as a man cannot live without the sun, the man who doesn't meet God cannot survive spiritually. You should realize that the Word of God, who is in the light itself, becomes the perfect standard of all things. What God says is good, and what God says is evil. God gives grace and glory to one who adjusts one's heart to the will of God and live by it. God the Father doesn't withhold anything good from him, but he gives. May you receive and enjoy such abundant grace and glory. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray.